I never thought I'd see the day my own mother would lie straight to my face, not to protect me, but to push me aside. Families are supposed to be safe, right? The people who hold you when the world gets too heavy. But what happens when the ones you trust the most become the ones who hurt you the deepest? It all started with a simple sentence. "Sweetheart, we can't afford to take everyone this year." Those words sounded so calm, so reasonable. I remember nodding, trying to smile, pretending it didn't sting. But something inside me twisted that day, a feeling that something wasn't right. Days later, I would find out the truth. And once I did, nothing about my family, my childhood, or my mother's love felt real anymore. The photos, the smiles, the memories, all shattered with a single image that showed me exactly where I stood in their hearts. I grew up in what most people would call an ordinary family. 2 loving parents, a nice little house, and 2 kids who were supposed to have everything they needed. From the outside, we looked picture perfect. But behind those smiling photos and polite conversations, there were cracks only I could see. My mother, Karen, always said she treated my sister Emma, and me the same. Maybe she believed it. Maybe she just wanted to. But as far back as I can remember, Emma was the golden one. She was loud, charming, the kind of person who walked into a room and made everyone laugh. I was quieter, the one who helped clean up after dinner, the one who stayed home when Mom needed errands done. I didn't mind at first. It felt like being helpful meant being loved. But over time, the difference became harder to ignore. When Emma forgot her chores, Mom laughed it off. When I did, she sighed and said, "I expected better from you." When Emma got average grades, she was creative. When I got the same, I wasn't focused enough. It was a pattern that grew like a shadow over every part of my life. Still, family was family, and I clung to that idea. Every summer, we had a tradition, a family trip, just a week away from everything, usually by the beach or in the mountains. It was the only time we really felt close, sitting around a campfire, laughing about old stories. Those moments kept me believing that maybe we weren't as broken as I felt. So when Mom told me this year would be different, that they couldn't afford to take all of us, I didn't argue. I swallowed the disappointment, told her it was fine, and tried to convince myself it was just bad luck. But then I saw the new luggage in the hallway, the extra set of matching beach clothes, the new camera Dad had bought on sale. Something didn't fit. If money was tight, why all the new things? I pushed the questions away, thinking maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it really was nothing. But deep down, that quiet voice whispered the truth I didn't want to hear. This wasn't about money. This was about me. And soon, I was going to find out just how far my family would go to leave me behind. The morning they left, the house felt unusually quiet. Mom kissed my forehead before heading out, her perfume lingering in the air like a memory I didn't want to keep. She smiled, that same practiced, gentle smile she used whenever she was trying to hide something. "Take care of yourself, okay?" she said softly. "We'll be back in a week." I nodded, pretending not to notice the excitement in her voice, the brightness in her eyes. It wasn't guilt. It was anticipation. Behind her, Emma dragged 2 oversized suitcases toward the car, laughing on the phone with someone. Dad honked from the driveway, impatient as ever. And just like that, they were gone. The silence that followed was heavier than I expected. I tried to stay busy. I cleaned the kitchen, watered the plants, cooked myself dinner for one. I even told myself that maybe some alone time would be good, a week to recharge, to think, to just be. But that illusion didn't last long. 2 days later, while scrolling through Instagram, I saw something that made my stomach twist. A photo popped up in my feed, my cousin Lily smiling in front of a beachside resort, tagged with family vacation, best time ever. At first, I thought it was old, maybe last year's trip. But then I saw the date. It was posted yesterday. And in the background, there they were, my mom, my dad, and Emma, standing together under a beach umbrella, holding cocktails and grinning like the perfect family they always wanted to be. My chest tightened. My ears rang. For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. They hadn't just gone without me. They'd lied. They'd replaced me with someone else. I zoomed in on the photo, staring at their faces. Mom looked relaxed, happier than she'd been in months. Emma was taking selfies, her sunglasses reflecting the ocean. And my dad, the man who always told me, family sticks together, was laughing like nothing had ever been wrong. I sat there, staring at the screen, the truth sinking deeper with every second. They didn't forget me. They chose to leave me. For the rest of the week, I didn't answer their texts. The occasional, "Hope you're doing okay," messages felt hollow, robotic, rehearsed. I imagined them sitting at dinners, telling themselves I was fine, that I didn't really want to come anyway. But they were wrong. I wanted to be there. I wanted to belong. By the time they returned, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to cry when I saw them. I wasn't going to beg for an explanation. I was going to look them in the eye and make them tell me why. Because this time, pretending everything was okay wasn't an option anymore. When they finally came home, I was sitting on the living room couch, waiting. I heard the sound of car doors closing, luggage wheels scraping against the driveway, and my mother's cheerful voice floating through the hallway. "We're back!" "Sweetheart," she called, as if she hadn't just erased me from her life for a week. I didn't answer. She walked into the room, her skin tanned, her hair sun-kissed, carrying a paper bag full of souvenirs. Emma followed behind her, scrolling through her phone, humming a song I didn't recognize. Dad came last, dragging the suitcases, his face red from the sun but relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in years. They looked happy, too happy. Mom placed the paper bag on the table. "We brought you something," she said brightly, pulling out a cheap-looking keychain shaped like a seashell. "See? We didn't forget about you." Her words hit harder than she probably meant them to. We didn't forget about you. The irony was cruel. I took the keychain, turned it over in my hand, and forced a smile. "Thanks," I said quietly. "Looks like you had fun." Mom's smile faltered slightly. "Well, we made the best of it. The weather was beautiful." I nodded, still calm. "Yeah, I saw the pictures." The room froze. Emma's head snapped up from her phone. Dad stopped unpacking. Mom blinked, her lips parting just slightly. "Pictures?" she repeated, her voice trembling just enough to betray her. "Yeah," I said, my voice steady. "Lily posted some great ones." The resort looked expensive. Definitely not the kind of place that can't afford one more ticket. Silence. The kind that stretches until it becomes unbearable. Mom looked down, her hands twisting the edge of her shirt. We didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "We just thought you would enjoy it. You've been so quiet lately, so distant. We wanted a trip where everyone could relax." "Everyone except me?" I asked. She winced. "You know what I mean." "No, Mom," I said, standing up slowly. "I don't. Because if this was about relaxing, you could have just told me the truth. Instead, you lied. You said you couldn't afford it, and then you replaced me with Lily." Dad spoke up for the first time, his tone defensive. "It wasn't like that. Lily just happened to have time off, and what?" I cut him off. "You thought I wouldn't find out? You thought I'd sit here quietly while you built your perfect family without me." Emma tried to intervene. "Look, it wasn't personal." "Yes, it was." I snapped. "It always is. Every decision, every choice, every comment, I'm always the afterthought, the one left behind. And this trip just proved it." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "That's not fair." "What's not fair," I said, my voice shaking now, "is pretending this family ever saw me the way it saw her. You've been showing me my place for years." I just finally decided to look. No one spoke after that. The silence was thicker than before, not awkward, but broken. The kind of silence that comes when something fragile finally shatters. Mom sat down, covering her face with her hands. Emma turned away. Dad sighed heavily, muttering something about needing air, and stepped outside. For the first time in my life, I didn't chase after any of them, because I realized something in that moment. I wasn't losing my family. I was just finally seeing them for who they really were. The house felt different after that confrontation. Not louder, not angrier, just heavier. Conversations became shorter. Dinners went silent. Everyone seemed to tiptoe around one another, pretending the air wasn't thick with guilt and hurt. For a few days, I tried to act normal. I went to work, came home, kept my room. But something inside me had cracked wide open. Every time I saw my mother walking to the hallway or heard her laugh faintly at something on her phone, the same question replayed in my head. How could you? She didn't answer it, of course. She barely spoke to me at all. Once, she left a plate of food outside my door with a small note that said, "I'm sorry if you felt hurt." The words "if you felt" burned more than the lie itself. It wasn't an apology, it was avoidance. Dad didn't say much either. He just kept busy, pretending he hadn't chosen silence when I needed him to speak. And Emma, well, she carried herself like a person who wanted to disappear. I think, deep down, she felt guilty. But guilt without accountability doesn't heal anything. One night, about a week later, I overheard my parents arguing in the kitchen. Mom's voice was breaking. "You should have stopped me," she said. "You knew how it would look." Dad's tone was low but sharp. "You made your choice, Karen. Don't make me the villain for it now." Their words were knives. Not because they were fighting, but because it confirmed what I already knew. None of it had been a misunderstanding. It was deliberate. That night, I decided I was done. I packed a small bag, just the essentials. A few clothes, my journal, my laptop. I wasn't running away. I just needed space to breathe. When I left the next morning, Mom was standing in the kitchen, still in her robe, holding a mug she wasn't drinking from. "Where are you going?" she asked softly. "To find some peace," I said. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Please don't do this. You're overreacting." I froze at the word. Overreacting. The same thing people say when they don't want to admit what they did was wrong. I looked at her, my voice trembling but firm. "No, Mom. I'm just finally reacting." And I walked out. I stayed with a friend for a while. Someone who didn't need me to explain why I couldn't stop crying at random times. For the first few nights, I barely slept. The silence was different now. Not heavy like it was at home, but empty, like something had been ripped away. They tried to reach out. A few texts from Dad, one from Emma saying, "She's really not doing well." I didn't reply. I needed distance, not guilt. A few weeks passed before Mom showed up at my door. She looked smaller somehow, tired, eyes swollen, the kind of broken that can't be hidden with makeup or a fake smile. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "I just wanted things to be easy for once." I looked at her, and for the first time, I saw her not as my mother, but as a person flawed, scared, and selfish in ways she didn't even understand. "I didn't need easy," I said quietly. "I just needed honest." She nodded, tears slipping down her face. But we both knew there was no going back. Some wounds don't heal. They just stop bleeding after a while. It's strange how silence can change its meaning over time. At first, silence felt like punishment, like I'd been erased from my own family story. But after a while, it started to feel like peace. The kind of peace you only get after the noise of betrayal fades away. I spent those first few weeks learning how to live without waiting for a text, without checking social media to see what my family was doing. I started reading again, cooking for myself, taking long walks at sunset. The world felt slower, softer, like it was giving me a chance to rebuild. For the first time, I stopped asking why they did it and started asking why I kept letting it hurt me. In therapy, my counselor asked a simple question that stuck with me. If you had to stop chasing their love, what would you start chasing instead? It hit hard, because for years, I'd built my entire identity around trying to be enough, the good child, the patient one, the understanding one. But no matter how much I gave, it was never enough for people who didn't want to see me. So I stopped performing. I started healing. I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you close when people keep walking over your peace. I didn't hate my family. I just stopped giving them the power to define me. A few months later, Mom texted me a photo from another trip. This time, she didn't ask me to come, and for once, I didn't feel that sting of exclusion. I just stared at the image, the waves, the sunset, their smiling faces, and realized it no longer hurt. It was just a picture, a moment I wasn't meant to be part of. And that was okay. Emma reached out once too. She said she missed me. I told her I missed her too, and I meant it. But I also told her things couldn't go back to the way they were. Relationships need truth to survive, and ours had run out a long time ago. The hardest part of healing wasn't forgiving them. It was forgiving myself for staying silent for so long, for pretending everything was fine when it wasn't, for begging for scraps of love from people who didn't see how much I was starving. Now, when I think about that trip, the one they said I couldn't afford, I realized something ironic. That week they spent chasing happiness. I finally found mine. Because sometimes being left behind isn't the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes it's the only way to find out who you really are when there's no one left to tell you. Looking back now, I don't feel anger anymore, just clarity. What happened hurt me, yes, but it also freed me. It taught me that love isn't proven by shared blood or family photos. It's proven by consistency, honesty, and care. My mother once said they couldn't afford to take me on that trip. Maybe she was right, in a way. They couldn't afford the truth or the kind of love that required accountability. But I could. I learned to give it to myself. So now, when I see families laughing together on vacation, I don't feel jealousy. I just smile, because I finally understand something they might not. Being left behind was never my loss. It was my beginning.